What's up, everybody? It is your girl Carlin with Strong with Carlin, helping you guys become stronger every day. Guys, today we have a special guest. It's a little bit different, so it's not just going to be me talking by myself or anything like that. I have a special guest, and I'm so excited to introduce him, guys. Allow me to introduce Mr. Armando Lopez, a highly accomplished entrepreneur and business owner with successful track record of building and selling multiple brands, guys, and also my honey bunny that I love with all my heart. So anyways, Armando, are you excited to be on my podcast?
I don't know. This feels really weird. It feels really weird because number one, I've never done any podcast before. I don't do lives or anything like this. So we got this humongous light in my face. So
it is pretty hot in here, though.
It is. This is a first.
And by the way, guys, I know my hands are pink. It's because, with this hair, there's maintenance. So I have to put on some pink shampoo. Anyways, guys, back to Mr. Lopez. Okay, Mr. Lopez.
So forgive me, guys. I'm gonna have to warm up and get into this. So
I know you're a little bit nervous.
No, I'm just like I was telling Carlin earlier. It's kind of like when you don't know how to dance and then you get pulled onto the dance floor and they're like, I'm dancing, but I don't know what to do with my hands. It's like I don't know what to do. I don't know if I got to get up and dance for you guys. I'm not,
I think you should get up and dance for you. So, okay, Armando. So, aside that, I'm not going to talk to you like you're my boyfriend.
Okay.
Because right now, it's business, guys.
Right.
And a lot of people want to know so many things about you because honestly, you're very interesting. And honestly, just having you here, it's such an honor because, guys, if you guys didn't know my story, when I started being an entrepreneur, he was one of the first people that actually reached out. He actually helped me out build my business, and any type of question that I actually had, when it came to business and stuff like that, I would go to him and he would always answer me and always be very, very helpful. So Mondo, a lot of people have a lot of questions. You guys submitted a lot of good questions, by the way.
Yeah, I saw you were telling me about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a lot of people submitted a lot of questions because they want to know, how did you go from a millionaire to losing it all? To finally gaining it back in so many different ways.
Okay. Well, I'll try. You want me to answer that one?
Want me to ask some questions first, and then we can take you there.
Just so we can kind of warm up. Yeah, let's
just give them a.
Let me stretch first.
So one question first, because I think a lot of people always have a conflict. They have a goal, they have a dream that they want to start. Right? They want to start a business. But they just have no idea where to start off.
Right.
One of the questions was, you say, how did you get started and what actually motivated you to get started? Okay.
Well, I guess the best answer, I know it's kind of cliche, but the best answer is to always do something that you love. A lot of businesses that, a lot of people who get into, their own business, a lot of time they're doing something that they didn't really plan for it to be a business to begin with. Maybe you're a mechanic and you like working on cars. Maybe you're in fitness and you like taking supplements like me. Maybe you're a doctor and you decide that you want to do things a little bit differently, and so you open up your own practice. So the reason why I say that is because starting a business or being an entrepreneur is not easy. So it's not. It's really, a lot of times you don't get paid anything for a long time before you even get to be able to pay your bills. So if you're gonna take that route, it's because you want to present something to the world, you want to make a change, or you have a vision of something you want to provide to other people, whether it be a better product, better service, or information. That's something you have to really think about, because it's not going to be as easy as you think. So if you're doing it for the money, don't even waste your time.
Don't even waste your time. A lot of people honestly want to know too, because it's there's a thing, people always think it's so hard to start a business, and they think it's so hard to be an entrepreneur. They think it's so hard, I want to be that, but I think I will never be able to do that. Well, if you go with that mentality, you're never going to get it done.
Right.
I feel one thing that me and Armando we've always done is when we want to do something, we just do it. We're not afraid to jump, and I think that's the thing about being an entrepreneur is you just got to go for it. You just can't be scared, because if you don't take those chances, you're never going to know what you're capable of doing.
Right.
You might fail. You might not even fail. You might be super successful, but at least you know that you did something,
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, Armando. How long have you been in the industry, and how many, tell me everything about you. People want to know, because there's a lot of people that don't know about you, because I know everything about you, baby.
Well, I'll try to summarize it the best I can, because I don't, obviously it's not Joe Rogan. We're not gonna be here for 3 hours.
Hey, it's gonna be Carlin Rogan.
Yeah,
Not just say.
But anyways, okay. So for me, I never knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur until I started to associate myself around other people that were entrepreneurs. Then I was kind of like, whoa, what is this? These people they're coming to work out on their own time, doing what they want. They had their own schedule, and then all I knew was how to do a 9 to 5. So that's when I had my first job at this gym called the Spectrum Club in Puente Hills. That was when I was around a lot of Chinese, Asian business owners, and for some reason I just became friends with a lot of them, and they kind of opened my mind from I graduated high school thinking I wanted to be a firefighter to then thinking, okay, well, I think I want to be a business owner, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I dabbled in a little bit of network marketing here or there until finally, I kind of I would think I got I think we all did during that time. We got very patriotic after 9/11, and I ended up joining the military. So in the military, when I found out that I was going to have Alana, my first daughter, that's when I decided, I wanted to make some extra money for her. I wanted to give her the nice things when she came into this world. So I got a part-time job at a supplement store. And there I started working for this, so I kind of forget the name of the store already, but I was working there, and the gentleman that owned that store, he had his own supplement brand. So he kind of introduced me to how I can actually own my own product line and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, this is actually pretty easy, You
got inspired by that.
Got inspired by that, because again, I saw this guy doing his own thing,
You're like, I want to do
living
that.
life on his terms,
You're like, I want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And so then when I got out, but again, still, I didn't know I wanted to be a supplement owner. So here's how like what I was talking about earlier, how sometimes you kind of just fall into it. So when I got out of the military, I didn't know what I was going to do yet. I kind of thought about opening a store or something like that, but I was like, dude, I really miss getting those discounts on the supplements, And I had friends that were saying, hey, can you still hook me up on protein, whatever? And I was like, no, I can't. And then I found a way to start my own business. Actually, I started the business just so I can get discounts on my own supplements. Yeah, it's funny, right?
That's funny.
And it turned into something that I started with $800 on a credit card. We had some guy overseas built a website, and before I knew it, part-time, I was making almost $200,000-$300,000 a year in sales on this business. And I was just like, wow, okay, I guess this is a business, And then my love for sports nutrition and dietary supplements just grew from there. And I visioned myself going from retailer to a product line owner to eventually, hopefully, a manufacturer owner. So that's kind of quickly
like a little snippet.
Yeah, of how you can kind of like fall into entrepreneurship.
And sometimes you don't know, like, things just happen, like you said, things just happen the way they need to happen, and sometimes you don't even plan for something to happen,
Exactly.
Like for me, I'll give you an example with Lay of Faith. I thought I was going to do Lay of Faith Cosmetics forever and sell makeup, but it's just like I found my passion somewhere else.
Right.
And we all go through
and
that.
it's something like you and I have, and a lot of entrepreneurs, like you're an entrepreneur because you have it inside of you. So like you can be a McDonald's, you can be anywhere out, and for some reason you'll be there on your third week, or you're like, I can do this myself.
Yeah.
Like you're already kind of thinking, visualizing like, man, I can do this for myself. Like there's an entrepreneurial spirit right there. So I think that's something that I think, you'll know if you're an entrepreneur or not. And, and sometimes you don't. And sometimes you just got to take that risk like Carlin was talking about earlier and just go for it. And if you fail, but at least you know.
Yes, it's pretty crazy, looking at all your stuff in your stories and things that you went to, like you went to the military and then you saw the multi-level marketing. Like it's pretty crazy because I think during this time we all went through that. Yeah. Like what was it, 2001?
2001, yeah.
Yeah, around that time.
Mine was like 2bytwo.net or something.
I did Primerica and then I did HBW. So I used to be a financial advisor, guys, back in the days, and I even sold Primerica. I sold life insurance and stuff. It was cool. It was dope. I think that's where I also got inspired because just seeing everybody be so successful in so many ways, that I like that lifestyle,
right.
So it's funny because me and you both come from that background.
Yeah. And I think I will never talk about network marketing because there are a lot of skills that you can learn from those things. I mean, I imagine at 18, 19 years old, I'm wearing a suit, going to these meetings, watching these people talk. I'm just paying attention to how they move their hands and how they speak. And it's almost like you're taking a class on entrepreneurship in a sense, or a presentation, So there's a lot of cool things that you can take away from network marketing. So I'll probably say like you, like I agree with you. There's a lot of those fundamental skills that I learned trying to go through network marketing, right?
That's one thing that I loved about it, just because I learned so much, and I was surrounded, even at 18, 17, 18, I was surrounded by people that were older than me, you know, and instead of me wanting to go party, like I wanted to grow, you know, with these people. And it's crazy because we went to Vegas one time for a Primerica event, and I remember being in Vegas in the bars. Did you just hear my mouth? In the bars, in the bars. And they asked me.
She's hiding a secret from you guys. It's not from here.
I'm not from here, guys. I'm from the bar. No, it's crazy because I was in the bars, and all my friends were in their late 20s, early 30s, and some 40-year-olds, you know. And I remember going there. I was the youngest one there, but I was just so excited to just soak up everything that finally went to the bar and stuff like that. Everybody was just like, wait a minute, she looks too young, but you couldn't really tell because I was hanging out with older people. Finally, when the lady came and asked for my drink order, I was like, no, I'm okay, thank you. That's when she knew that I was not 21.
You got kicked out.
But I was living my life during that time. Like, what inspired you the most about when you saw the whole network marketing?
I think, I mean, just like anything.
The cars, I think.
The cars, yeah. I remember this, one of the gym I was working at, the Spectrum Club, one of the members came in, and, you know, she pulled up in a Mercedes CLK, and I had 2x2.net on there. And then I was like, what is that? And she's like, you don't know? Like, I thought I had missed the memo or something like that, you know? And she's like, I'm going to pick you up at this, you know, this time, and we're going to go. So I was like, okay.
Some lady picking him up.
Yeah. So her and her boyfriend at the time picked me up, and then we go to this presentations, and it's me and like 3 other kids I don't even know. And then we pull up at this hotel, and all of a sudden you see this blue Lamborghini pull up, and then an orange Lamborghini pull up, and then out of the Lamborghinis gets these young kids that maybe about my age. And I was like, and that, to me, you got to remember at this time, there was no social media, there was no Instagram. So here I am at 18, 19 years old, watching a kid just like me get out of this amazing car.
You're like, I want that.
So in that moment, I instantly saw, I can have that. That's achievable. Because look, he's just like me. You know, I can relate to that. And I think that was my first aha moment, like, oh, there's more. Because I didn't come from a background of entrepreneurship. You know, my dad had a good job, and, you know, no one in my circle, and, you know, in my life were entrepreneurs. So I didn't know what entrepreneurship was. So,
isn't it crazy how I hear a lot of these stories where, you know, a lot of people that become entrepreneurs is because they either struggled when they were younger, or they lived that life where they like struggled, or they came from somewhere they've never had. So I think like a lot of people that become entrepreneurs, they just try to break that cycle. Do you feel like you fit in that category?
Yes and no. I get what you're saying. A lot of people who struggle, we go back to talking about how certain people learn certain skills. I feel like a lot of people who struggle, you automatically learn those skills. Like, I got to make it happen or I don't eat. And that's a lot of that grit that's required when you go into entrepreneurship. Like, you don't make it happen, you're out of business. You know what I mean? You have
to be hungry.
Yeah. So for me, I think I went down a different path where, you know, my family and my parents were always very supportive, and, you know, they gave me what I needed, but I didn't really have everything I ever wanted, if that makes any sense. Sorry, Mom, Dad, if you're watching, but it's the truth. And so I always had this mentality myself, because I had the entrepreneur spirit. I always had this, like, if he can have it, why can't I have it? I've always asked myself that. If he can have it, if it can be done, I can do it. Okay. And so I always had that mentality. So when I went into entrepreneurship, I always went there like, okay, again, if that kid jumped out of the Lamborghini, I can also
jump it too.
Right. So I think that's what helped me take that entrepreneurial spirit, and then let's do something with it. You know, because it wasn't until recently, like we're about to get into later, that I understood that I had to go back to Struggle 101 and take that course. You know?
Yeah, it's honestly, I think that's the thing. Like, people are so afraid to follow their goals and dreams because they're afraid to fail, you know? And we know about failure. We know about the struggle. We know what it's like to have it and to not have it. And we know what it's like to lose it all too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on that, Armando, like, you know, when I met you, let me tell you guys about Armando. When I met Armando, this is the crazy part. When I met Armando, I used to take his supplements. He had a company called Hybrid. And I used to take his supplements. Those were the first supplements I ever took, besides like GNC and stuff like that. But those were the first supplements I ever took that I loved, because the formula was just so amazing that it gave me the results that I always wanted. I would even recommend my friends to it and stuff like that. And so everybody was like, what supplements are you taking? I'm like, dude, I'm taking a Hybrid. You guys need to try it, you know? And so anyways, when I met him, which we will never talk about how we actually
that's a different type of podcast.
That's a different type of story. But anyways, his products were so amazing. So when I finally met him, I knew that I wanted to keep taking his supplements and stuff because the fact that his supplements were so good, the formula would just fit for me. I wasn't like a normal lifter. I wasn't like those hardcore lifters, but the fact that I can be a normal person and take his supplements and give me the results that I wanted, I really liked that. And I really liked how you like formulated everything.
Yeah.
But when you first started, Armando, like one of the questions is like, how much money did you start with? And did you have a lot of money? Did you have to put a lot of money? Like, what did you have to do? Like, did you have to sell your car? Did you have to sell blood? You know, what did you do?
No, even to this day, everything that I've done has been grassroots. It's been, I wasn't given the opportunity to start anything with a lot of funds, tools, or resources, even connections. So everything is earned. But it's because I've always had that mentality of, there's a way to figure it out, you know? So like I said, when I started the Orbit Nutrition, which was my first company, it was a retail company, it was $800 on a credit card. So with that $800, I had to create a website and pay for domains and internet service, and as well, find a way to, how do I sell product? If I can barely have a website made, how am I going to buy product? So I found a distributor that allowed me to sell product, as a drop ship. So I didn't have to have any inventory. I sold something, came from them, and it looked like it was coming from me, but it really wasn't.
Isn't it crazy how like you had dropship back in the days before it was like popular?
Right, exactly. Yeah, this is what 2006.
Man, and now we're in 2024. Dropship's like so easy. You can even sell product without even having it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody was on Instagram was telling you how to become a dropship millionaire. You know?
Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, that's one example. Then I sold that company, didn't even make that much money, but with that money, took that little bit of money and started Genomics, and that was my supplement brand. And then even with that money, I sold another company, but I made I said, okay, I want to start Recon and, hybrid. I only have a little bit of money. I knew that money is not going to really do much. So I took that little bit of money on top of negotiating terms with the manufacturer that I had. So I said, okay, well, if I have a little bit of money and he's making me product at a very small quantity at cost, then now all of a sudden I have a bigger pot of resources. So it's being resourceful with what you do have. If you got $10, that $10, you got to maximize it and get the most you can with that when you're starting any type of business.
Exactly. I feel like that's one of my biggest
your biggest powers right there.
Yeah, that is my power. Like I can make $5. I that's just been me. You've always said it in so many things. Like, dude, how do you do this with so little?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just make it happen. And that's the thing, guys. Like when you're an entrepreneur, or if you only have $20, you think like, okay, if it's something that I can do by myself, or can I stretch it out? Because a lot of people think that it's so hard, but it's really not. It's just getting the hard part is just getting started.
That's the only thing. Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the hardest part.
You just got to get going. You can't say I'm not going to start because I don't have the money. You can't say I'm not going to start because I don't have the time. I don't have the resources. I don't have the connections. Nobody does at the beginning. Nobody has all the answers figured out. I think that's what a lot of people don't understand.
They don't. But another thing too, Armando, let's get into the juicy story, because people want to know. Okay, how much money did you make with all your brands? Like, what is the, like, if you can look at your bank account, like, how much money did you make? And you were like, dude, I can't believe I achieved this. Like with your brands, like everything that you were like, dude, I feel successful.
That's a tough question, because I think it's different for everybody, right? And with the most successful brand that I had was Recon Nutrition, obviously. But there was a time where Recon Nutrition was making like crazy money. And then I had a little bit of hybrid and then a little bit of alpha breed. So like combined, every month we were doing like $150,000, $200,000 a month in revenue.
Hold on. How much were you making a month?
With sales, we're doing about $150,000, $200,000 a month.
Okay, did you guys hear that? How much in sales were you doing a month?
About $150,000, $200,000.
Guys, that's $150K. That's like the down payment. Well, not a down payment to a house. That's that's crazy. Like when I first started working there, and he would tell me, I was like, wait, how much did you make a month? He goes, we're in revenue. We made $150,000. I'm like, so you guys were making that a month? He goes, yeah, $150K. He goes,
At that time, the way the manufacturing was and how much we were able to charge for our products, the profit margin on that was about 40, sometimes 50%, but maybe 40%.
Wow.
So 40% of that was able to come back into the business.
That's pretty crazy. And the thing is like a lot of people think just because you're making that money, like you have all this money, but you guys got to think about all the stuff that you guys have to spend for, like the product you have to spend, you know, in the shipping, you got to spend in your employees and stuff like that. So I think that's where a lot of people get, like, they think like you have a business and you're making this much, but they think you're getting all that for yourself.
No, so like when Carlin says I'm a millionaire, it's not that I had $1 million in the bank account, but it was like my company was doing 1.3 to almost $3 million in sales. And there's a lot that comes into that. I mean, it's the how much product you have. At one time we had 150,000, 200,000 worth of product in our warehouse. All the other assets and things, cars and things that we have, it accumulates to the total value of what you're worth. And I think that's what she means by that. But I think the time where I felt like really comfortable, whereas, because like, it's like when you're building something, right? You put one brick and then one brick and one brick and one brick. And then before you know it, you're like, whoa, I'm pretty high, you know? And that's what it was like for me. It was like, I remember, we were, working with Alan. I remember, there being
we love Alan, by the way.
I remember there being, 8,000, 10,000, 30,000, 60,000, 8,000. I remember I got to a point where I, finally looked back and then it was like almost 400,000 in the account. But it was like, it was ours. It didn't belong. It was like everything was paid. All the invoices and POs were paid. And it was like, oh shoot, we can make whatever product we want now. And not have to worry about the money. We can do whatever we want.
Spend it now.
Yeah, we can do whatever we want.
We can reward ourselves.
Yeah, that was the point where we look back and we're like, whoa, okay.
That's
we
awesome.
do have the freedom to do what we want to do.
Were you scared to spend any of that money, Armando?
I was. Yeah, and again, because when you're going through those struggles, you get I call it PTSD in the mind of financial PTSD. And when I did finally get to that point, I actually wanted to buy my first car, and I had to convince myself. I had to go to therapy just to figure out, like, why can I not buy this car?
Yeah.
I was on the internet and I was like, am I selfish for buying it? If I have a family, buying a 2-door car, and then I remember I was working with a therapist at the time, and then she told me, who told you? Who's telling you that this is not a good idea? And I said,
you're like,
nobody. It's me telling myself. And that's when I did it. And then when I went for it, then I kind of broke that little barrier that I had.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you rewarded yourself. Yeah. And I know sometimes because you never had something like that, you're like, shoot, I feel like very guilty to even buy something for myself. I know even for me, like I've been in that situation where I actually, got something or accomplished something. I was like, I feel guilty if I buy myself something. And I feel like you should always reward yourself because you did the hard work. Right. Obviously, if I made $10,000, I'm not going to go spend $5,000 on a purse when I'm like, no, I'm not going to spend that much money. But it made sense. You had the extra and it was time for you to reward yourself.
There's little mental blocks that you have to level up on. And it's like, everybody knows that, like, you do need to reward yourself, right? But once you get to that point, after you've struggled for so long and you get to that point, it's time to reward it. There's like a little mental block where something's stopping you. And then those are those little things you got to kind of break through them. Otherwise, you're never going to grow.
What is something that you regret as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that you think that, man, if I wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't have lost it all? What is something that you're like, geez, like if I would have done this better, I feel like I wouldn't have lost it?
I think maybe number one is probably, I wish I would have had a relationship with God a lot earlier in my life. I always believed in God and I always talked to God, but never in the way that I really had a relationship with Him. I would say just because I knew He was there. But I say that because a lot of my growth and a lot of who I am today, a lot of, I still have a lot of ego, but a lot of control over the ego that I have has come in my growth that I've been doing with God. And so I felt like if I would have found God a lot earlier in my life, I would have been able to take a step back at a lot of these points where the ego was in control, And I was able, because, also too, a lot of things when you're doing entrepreneurship and you do, like, I went through like 10 years of grinding before everything just shot out, right? And when it happens so fast. Yeah, I literally went from nothing to 1.3 million in a year and a half.
Things can change fast.
It can change that fast. And when things grow that fast, especially when, I was business immature. I didn't have a lot of maturity in regards to investments and, forecasting and stuff like that. So not only did I not have that knowledge, but then I was also reacting to things with ego. And so I felt like if I would have gone to God and God would have been in my life, in my business, I feel like he would have guided me more. But maybe he was and I wasn't listening.
Because sometimes we don't listen. That's the thing. He's always talking to us.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that you brought up about God, because what is your life now from before better? How is your life now with Jesus and with everything in life? Like now in your business, like, do you include him in everything now?
Yeah.
Are you closer to him? Are you like, Jesus, I got to do this with you? Or do you feel like it's the old Mondo where I need to do this by myself, within myself, and I got what it takes?
It's a combination of both still. I'm not, okay. I'm a Christian because I follow Christ and I've accepted Christ. But I'm not your best Christian. And I would say that I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still learning to trust, But I would say, I would just kind of keep this brief. Like for me, there's a relationship with God and there's a relationship with Jesus. And I know they can be the same thing. They probably are the same thing, but this is how I see it. Because a lot of times, even though I had my relationship with God, I still didn't have a relationship with Jesus. I saw him as something different, right? And I think the story of how I found God, and when God came to me, and then when Jesus came to me.
Well, tell them.
Okay, well, so in 2017,
and hold on, before anything, guys, I used to talk to him about God at the office.
Always.
I would always talk to him and be like, God is good and this and that. And he would always see me like be so fearless and so everything, because I had this comfort in my heart that even though I was going through so many things in my life, like I always had my faith. Like my faith was always very strong, and I would always tell him. And he's like, yeah, well, I believe in this. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I never disrespected you in any type of way, but you always made it seem like your stuff is a little bit better. But I didn't understand, because I didn't understand how he cannot really like be involved with God, but he was spiritually connected to him in some other type of way, but it wasn't the way he is now.
Yeah. Well, because I feel like God, when you do find Jesus and Jesus comes to you, you can only know that relationship with Jesus when you're ready. When you're ready. When Jesus, and that's the whole point of getting baptized, is like you're being called to that. And so I feel like I wasn't there. Yeah. So when I was practicing Buddhism and all these different things, trying to the chakras and the meditation, and like trying to find myself through that, and so I'll try to make this quick, but going through 2017 when I decided to sell my company. I was going through the separation with my ex-wife, and a lot of changes were happening in my life, and it was all hitting me at the same time, and I started to just I wanted to run away, and that's when I started to develop a love for hiking, because I could do that. Nobody could find me where I was at, and I was just gone, and I was just But see, that's where I connect with God. I didn't realize it at the time, but that's where He was connecting to me, and so I started challenging myself. Pushing. And during that time, that's when I started to have some crazy experiences with hawks. And I feel like that's how God was talking to me, like letting me know, like, do you see me now? I'm a hawk. I almost touched your head. Did you see me now? And I didn't see it. So one time I got to a point where I was so overwhelmed that I called him out. And I just said, look.
You said Jesus?
No, not Jesus. We're not the Jesus part yet. I said, the Creator, God Almighty. I said, if you exist, what's up? Where are you at? That's exactly how I said it, because I was so frustrated. And then this was New Year's Eve. I'll never forget this.
What year was this?
2017.
Oh, yeah.
New Year's Eve 2017.
By the way, guys, that's the time you were losing everything.
Losing everything, yeah. I had already sold Recon, and I had thought I knew what I was going to do, and wasn't working out, etc. And so I decided to go up this mountain that I never knew. And now we love this mountain, San Bernardino Mountain.
That's our place to go to.
It was the first time, and I said, let me go check this out. And some crazy events. On the way up, nothing happened. And I was like, this sucks. I knew it. There you go, God. I knew it. On the way down the mountain, crazy things started to happen. So I'm driving down, and I stop at this one. I was like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. I pull over, and I'm taking a look, and a big old truck comes up next to me and pulls over, and a lady and her husband get out. And she's like, comes next to me, and we're not even talking to each other, and out of nowhere, she goes, the funny thing about divorce is that it's not about you, it's about the kids. And I was like, okay.
Random.
So we start talking, and then she's like telling me about her divorce, and the situation was similar to mine, and to make it about the kids, whatever. And I was like, that was crazy. Okay.
You're like, if that wasn't weird, like, who told her like that I'm going through divorce and stuff? Isn't that crazy? Like,
Exactly.
That's pretty random.
Yeah, well, but still, I still didn't think much of that at the time, right? So then I start driving down a little more, and then I get to our favorite spot now. Mm-hmm. And I pull up, and by this time, this view is amazing. It was like
awesome, by the way, guys.
Yeah, it was like these two mountains. In between the mountains, the sun was setting, so it was like cotton candy sky. It was just beautiful. So I get out, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go check that out. And this other car pulls up next to me, and these two ladies get out, and we're looking at it. Oh, we're like, oh, it's amazing. And I go to her and I go, are you gonna go check that out? And she goes, yep, me too. And so we start walking. You gotta like walk into the road for a little bit before you get to this path. Mm-hmm. And then we get to the path, and now you can see the view again. It was so beautiful. She's crying. Before she even starts going to the path, I see it, and I just start like a baby running to his mom. Like I just start running to it, this view,
because it was that memorable.
It was kind of like it was gravitating, like it was pulling us to it, and then so I start running to it, and I get there, and I'm just like, I'm in awe. I can't even speak. It's just so beautiful. And then this lady, she pulls up first, or she walks up, and then I'm like talking for a little bit, and I say, okay, well, thank you for sharing this beautiful view with me. And as I walk away, she stops me and she says, hold on, Armando, you mind if I say a prayer for you? And
you were like,
and she's holding the Bible. Uh-huh. So she pulls it. Yeah, I was like, what the heck? Where did that come from? And then I'm like, okay, sure, And again, remember, I don't have a huge relationship with God yet. So I'm like, okay. And the prayer is awkward for me,
Yes.
And then she starts praying, and she's just like, God, and this and that. And finally she starts saying, God, I know this has been a tough year for Armando. I want you, to pray as we go into this new year. I know he's come up here looking for something. That's exactly what I was up there for.
And he was like, what the heck? Who told her?
Yeah, exactly. So she's telling me this stuff, and I'm just like, wow. And I was just like, I was speechless. So I say thank you, and I start to walk away. And it took me about maybe like to get to the end of the path where I realized something special just happened,
Yeah.
And I turn around, and I think I posted it on my Instagram where the sky was just even more amazing. I just see these two little angels down there, I call them angels because they think they were doing God's work,
every time you tell me that story, I get very emotional because I know during that time, your heart was so desperate.
You saw how broken I was.
Yeah, you were so broken, babe, that, I wish I can help you out because I think both of us were going through something too.
You were going through a lot of changes.
I was going through a lot of stuff too, and he was going. So imagine, like, for me, I'm always like, oh, I hope he's okay. But he went through something that I've never seen him this broken before. And just thinking about that moment, it still gives me like goosebumps, but it also gives me like, man, I know how that felt. I know how you probably felt. You're probably really feeling lost, but then also you felt like this huge hug and you felt like the love. I think at that moment.
That was a lesson. That's how you got. That's how I learned.
He spoke to you.
Yeah, that's how I met God. That's how I'll say it. Because up until that point, what I realized after looking back at everything I was going through, everything and I tell you this even today, everything in my life worked out. It was just like, I went through my struggles, like I told you guys about, but everything worked out. It was like, I sold this company, started this company, sold this company, started this company.
But everything was working out, but you didn't have God in your life.
Right, I haven't God in my life, right. Okay. So it was doing this, to do. And for the first time in my life, it was like nothing I did was working anymore. And it was just like, I'm watching this ship sink, and I'm putting this one up, and I'm starting this engine. I'm throwing the water out of here, and I can't stop the ship from sinking. And that's when I got to the point where we're about to sink, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, I feel like I want to give up. And then that's where he met me. And so the interesting thing was, as soon as I walked away from that, I got in that car, and I don't even listen to Christian music at this time, right? But I have XM radio. And the song comes on, and I forgot the name of the song, but it was basically saying, I will always be with you. And it was like, boom, I started crying, and all of a sudden these things came into my head where I realized what was going on. This entire time I was trying to do all this by myself, not realizing that that's what was getting me in trouble. It was never me. It was always God. And now it was time for me to learn the lesson. But this is what God told me, because I felt it. God told me, he's kind of like, he gave me this example. He says, it's kind of like you're in a room and you're scared. I know you're scared. I know you're dark, and I know you don't know where the door is at, but you got to find it. And I can't help you. But for the first time in my life, I knew that I wasn't in that dark room by myself. He was there. He was there watching over me and making sure that I was okay, but I had to find that exit door myself, you know?
Wow.
But just knowing that he was there with me made me feel like, cool, I can do this.
You felt
now.
protected. You felt like I can do this.
Because
now.
up until that point, I felt like when you take on that role, this is because of me. I got this, whatever. When shit goes, when stuff goes bad, when shit goes bad, you're also by yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't have God with you, you will also carry that burden by yourself, and it can get really heavy. I think that's why certain people do find themselves in trouble, you know?
I feel like that's why it's important to say, like, to not think that you're the one that's just doing it by yourself, because at the end of the day, if something doesn't go right or whatever, at least you know, like, God is protecting you compared to be like, oh, I suck, I failed at this. But in reality, it's like, no, God didn't want me to go through that, or didn't want me to function in this or whatever, because he has a better plan for me. So now you walk with your head higher now because you have God in your life, but now you know that God is the one that's guiding you in every step of the way.
Absolutely. And when things do get tough, because it doesn't mean things get easy now, but when things do get tough, you know that you're not in it by yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
And, you know, I want to tell a lot of people don't know this, guys, that when Mondo was losing everything, I was going through my struggles too, where I had to like rent out a little 1-bedroom because I was losing my apartment. My cars were getting repoed. And at the time, Mondo was living in a 1-bedroom apartment too. But he kept like he was living in different apartments. He was always changing because of certain situations. But there was this one time I remember is that, and you would always tell me, like, are you embarrassed? Like, you deserve somebody. He would always tell me, you deserve to be with somebody else that has more money than me. And I'm like, it's okay, because sometimes you couldn't help me financially.
Right.
And you saw me struggle, and I said, don't worry, I will figure it out. Like, I will figure it out for myself. And you're like, yeah, but I don't feel like you just deserve to be with somebody else. And he always tell
imagine
me that.
I mean, for any man, you feel like when you can't take care of your significant other, and, you know, your pride, you take a big hit to your pride, your ego, you know?
But I was like, no, I want to be with you. I already know this.
Yeah.
No, we'll figure it out. But there was this one time where we slept on the floor. We were sleeping on the floor.
Yeah. I was living in a 3-story house, and then eventually I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment just so I can save, at that time, it was like an additional $500 a month. At that time, you know, I was still kind of, you know, going through the whole situation with my ex-wife and stuff like that, and you know, I wanted to make sure my kids were okay. So like 80% of what I made take home, I made sure they got it. That left me with like 20%. So I didn't have enough money to, like whatever furniture I had came from the previous place. And so whatever I spent was literally whatever little was left. And I had a bedroom with no furniture and just one blanket on the floor, and that's what I slept on. That blanket I slept on and covered myself at the same time.
Yeah, I would.
And then you would come over, and like I'm just like, it's embarrassing, you know what I mean?
But I didn't care. I didn't care because it was just like, dude, I really love him. I really care for him. And for me, it was like, now we're both going to build together. Like, I'm willing to struggle with you, and I'm willing to do this with you because I just really cared for him. For me, it wasn't about like the money. And,
right.
Like you had all that and stuff, but it was like. So let's go back to the part that people don't know this, but when you first bought your car, what was the first car you bought with your business?
So the first car that I bought was
that you were like, dude, this is the one I really
the Audi.
The Audi.
It was So it was an Audi A8. It was like a 2014 Audi A8. At the time, it was like only like a year old. I bought it, only had like 10,000 miles or something like that. But anyways, so when I bought that car, the car I had before that was like a Nissan and then a Honda. And I remember I kind of liked the Jeeps at the time, to be honest with you, the Jeep Wranglers and stuff like that. And I asked my daughter, you know, because at the time we had nice things, but we never had nice things, right? So I asked my daughter, you know, picking her up at dance class one night, and I say, do you want Daddy to buy a car like that, a Jeep, or do you want something like an Audi or Mercedes or something like that? What do you want? And she told me, I want an Audi. I said, okay. And then that just happened to be one of my dream cars, those big 4-door Audi A8s, you know. And that was my first purchase. I remember getting the cashier's check for that. Like, I think I put like $18,000 down or something like that. And then I remember just walking in there like, I don't know if I want to give this to you, you know. But that was the first purchase that I made.
And during your business, remember he had different cars, guys. He had from the Audi, he had a Maserati, and then you sold that Maserati, and then you bought another Maserati, and then because you needed to make sure your business was running good, you sold the Maserati.
Yeah.
And then because you also had employees and you want to take care of people,
Right.
you know, so you sacrificed a lot to make sure that your business was flowing good.
Yeah.
And you
I've never really been attached to those things, and that's interesting because normally that happens like when you've got God and stuff like that. But for me, those things were goals. So when I achieved those things, it was like, goal, yes. What's next? You know. And so even though that's one of my favorite cars, I still love that car just because of the sound and the exhaust and stuff like that. But I was never like attached to it. And so like it wasn't a hard decision. It sucked, but it wasn't a hard decision, you know.
That's the best. Honestly, being attached to certain things, like that's what me and him talk about. Is just like we've accomplished so many things in our life as well, but we never feel I mean, we like material stuff, but we're not attached to that.
Not attached to it, yeah.
Yeah, we're not attached to them. I think that's for us. Like for me, I'm like, I like nice things. Right. I do. And Mondo likes,
let's be honest though. Like if you buy like a Porsche or something like that, like you are getting like nice leather. And I mean, you remember the Porsche, everything was leather inside.
Everything was really nice.
So there is a nice feeling to everything. So you do get what you pay for in a lot of times. So you know, if you enjoy those things, then you should have them, you know?
Yeah, I think as long as you don't worship them.
Yeah, but if you and your family gotta live in your Porsche because you can't pay rent, that's a different story. That means you're clinging on a little too tight there.
Tight on that.
Yeah.
So Armando, another question is, what is it like to be with a strong-fitted woman?
Okay, it's not tough. It wasn't tough at the beginning, but it was. So I think this is a little bit difficult. I'm trying because there's a lot, and I'm trying to compress it.
Say what you feel, baby.
No, I'm just trying to compress it, like make the story a little bit shorter. So like, okay, at the beginning, it wasn't tough because Carlin came into my life, you know, wanting to learn and learning and supporting me. And, you know, but I always knew that there was like this, she's always been really strong. Like even when she started working for me, do you remember? You kind of gave yourself the position. Remember? You're like, I'm going to be your assistant. I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to interview you first. I had to kind of take control a little bit, you know?
But then...
Yeah, but I already knew I was going to give her the job. So anyways, so I already knew she had that aggressiveness and she had that energy, that, you know, that aura, you know? So I was attracted to that. But as time went on, you know, especially after going through what I went through, you know, I'm like growing like this, and then Carlin's just like growing in so many ways. And at some point, she kind of passed me because I was stagnant. I wasn't moving anymore. I wasn't, you know, I kind of lost myself and stuff like that, which I'm sure we'll get into later. And then so she passed me, and it was difficult at that time. It's not at the beginning. It was like halfway into our relationship where it got difficult because she was no longer that person that was looking to me for advice or answers. She became the person that didn't need me anymore. And so that's when I think we had a little bit more of the difficulties of trying to make this relationship work, because I'm like, and then she's like, you know?
Yeah, it was just a battle between both of it, because now, like, I felt like I had my voice, and I was like, you know, in so many things I already, like, I'm like, no, I'm going to do this my way.
And then I'm like, I don't recognize you anymore. And then you're like, well, I don't recognize you anymore. And it's because we were different people. And then that's when I had to, like, finally, when, you know, we did work on things, and I kind of saw, okay, well, you're right. I wasn't noticing you. I wasn't seeing your growth and all the amazing things that you've become. I think that's when our relationship started. Now I can have a relationship with a strong-fitted woman, because now I understand her role, her strengths, and she can be those, and I appreciate her for those things, and vice versa.
Yeah, I think now we're both in the place where now we're both at the same level. I think we're just both the same level. There's nobody that's higher than lower. Right. We never see it that way. We see it as like, you know, we know what we want now. And, you know, with life, now with him, it's not a battle anymore. I think because you found yourself too. Yeah, we do everything together. And he supports me in everything that I do, and I support everything that he does, you know, and I'm building my stuff, but because we both have goals and dreams, you know, I think that's where a lot of people like feel like the wife can't have her dreams because she has to follow her husband. But I feel like God gives us all dreams, that I feel like you should support support either way, you know, like, for example, I would never tell you like, no, you can't do that because I'm doing this and you should do it because I'm doing it, you know. It's always been, he's been very supportive in that area where he's just like, yeah, babe, like whatever you want, like this podcast, like he supported me on this podcast, you know. He's like, do it, babe, like I think it's a good idea. And the same thing with him, I'm like, yeah, babe, do it. But we help each other along the way. There's not like, I'm better than you, you're better than me. And you know, now because you're not in that place anymore, now I think we both grew in so many ways. Like his change has grown tremendously from where he was at, where he was lost back in 2017. He was very, very lost and very broken. He was going through that stuff, you know. That
I don't even think that was the worst. I think probably the worst was like 2021.
Yeah.
Maybe some of 2022. That was my worst.
It was hard, babe. It was really hard because there was times that we couldn't pay for like bills. We couldn't pay for certain things. And, you know, I don't know how I know how we made it happen. I know how everything worked out, you know, with God's help along the way. I think we got closer to God around
during those times.
Yeah, during those times.
Well, 2021 is when I met Jesus.
Yeah.
that was not easy either, but that's when he came into my life.
So I just feel like it's our journey has been crazy. Your journey has been crazy. And the fact that, you know, you had to lose it all, but you really didn't lose it all because you gained a lot from what you went through.
I lost when first of all, nothing is ours. It all belongs to God.
Yes, it is. And
so I think during that time, God saw me unfit to be the steward of his what he wanted me to have. Or, you know, I feel like we all have a purpose. We all have gifts that God gives us. And through those gifts, we accomplish things, you know. And if you are a good steward, God will give you more to manage. Like let's say that. And I think God saw what I was doing, and even though I didn't have a good relationship with God, I was doing good things and growing, and you know, and taking care of people. And then at one point, I just wasn't a good steward no more, and God took it away. You know. So
now that you finally realized everything that went down with you, like you gained it and then you lost it. What is something that you're gonna do different now?
Well, number one, I mean, obviously, everything, I have a relationship with God now, so he's involved in everything.
He has to be involved. Yes.
So that's the most important change. But also to you know, through all these struggles, you get smarter, you get wiser, you learn a lot of lessons. You kind of know what not to do, how not to treat people, and I feel like that's the easy part. Those lessons is just called experience. But I think making sure that God's a part of that this time. That's what's going to keep me in check. He's going to help. And when I pray and things get hard and I go to him, I know he's going to always be there for me and help me out.
Yes, and I think that's the best, honestly, because that's how we both run our businesses. Everything that we do with God. Like, I feel like it's very important because now there's a purpose behind it. Obviously, God gives us these visions and these dreams, and just having him along the way, like he gave it to us. So he's our business partner in everything that we do. And I feel like that's what has been successful just recently, you know, with things that are happening now with you, things are opening up for you. And it's crazy because now you've actually given it to God, and God's like, well, I'm going to make it happen for you. And it has been easier. And I know you kind of still struggle with it.
It's been easier, but
I see it differently.
Yeah. So my struggle is easier. So the difficulties are not easier, obviously, but my struggles are easier. So like when I go through these hard times in my life now, or these challenges I'm going through, it's not like, it doesn't hit me like I don't know what to do anymore, because when I get to that point, and I get to that point where I get that frustrated feeling like before I ran away and I went hiking, whatever, I'm like, okay, this is where like I'm at that ledge and there's that little gap, and then at this is where I know I'm going to make it, but I don't know how. And that's when I give it to God. And when I give it to God, that's when he comes through in the way that that's why it really is true where everybody says God's always on time.
He's always on time.
That's when he's on time, is when you come to that point. But if you're here and here's that little ledge and you don't even go there, that's what I've learned. He's not going to show up. He's not going to show up because you haven't done your part yet.
You got to do the work.
You got to do your work. But once you truly get to a point where you're like, I've exhausted every single thing, and then you pray and give it to God, that's when he shows up.
Things that you got to do the work, and everything that you do, you have to do the work, and God is going to provide, or he's going to open the doors for you. He's going to make something happen, but you got to, you got to put in that work.
Right.
Another question for you, Mr. Lopez, is, you know, with everything that's been going on, what do you see in the future? Like, what is something that you're working on right now that you're like, dude, I finally feel like I got it. Like, I'm back.
Well, I never left the supplement industry, right? Even when I did had to get a little job last year, I was still somewhat in the nutraceutical area. But I never left the supplement industry. But I've always been trying to figure out my way back and go different branding. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen 1,000 different versions of Halkon already.
There's been a lot.
It's been a lot, yeah. And I'm like, here it is, guys. This is it. Get ready, But a lot of that was because of the growth changes I was going through. And I'll just tell you right now that there's once you lose everything and then you get it back, you can still get it back. You can still you can work your way back to rebuilding. But there's a mindset change that you have to fight through because it will never be as easy as the beginning. Like you have to kind of break through something because you're always going to be a little bit scared. If that makes sense. You know what I mean?
I believe so.
And so now things that I'm building right now, I'm back in the supplement industry. We got some great products that we're about to create.
Great partnerships too.
Partnerships, yeah. We're working with an amazing manufacturer now that we're actually partnering with, who basically they're going to make sure that our products are the best of the best. Test it so you know that everything that you get in these products is going to be exactly what's on the label. So I'm just really excited because everything that, like I said, everything that I had before was just kind of like these little steps that was given to me, and I felt like everything in this stage or this season of my life, everything's being put in place.
Exactly. And we're actually formulating some cool stuff, guys. As you guys know, my background as a nutritionist, working with Armando too, and then combining certain things that we both are looking into, like things that make you feel better because of my illness or stuff that he was dealing with. So he's a good formulator. So now we have somebody else that's going to
You're right. Someone else has been in the business for a long time. They actually, if I were to say their name, everybody would know who she is. It'll say she. So just really excited to bring a different level of product to everybody because my products have always been the best. I've always created the best of the best. But now to have a system that also confirms that, yes, sir, this is the best,
Yeah.
That's going to be something great that I'm able to offer my customers.
I'm really excited about that. Yeah, I'm really excited about that because we've been working really hard on creating some supplements that are really going to be beneficial to a lot of you guys. And the fact that, because we use it on our own daily life. Like, what is something that, for me, like, because I was sick recently, like, I always was looking for more natural stuff, more natural supplements, and, more things to help me. So now we've been working on that, where it's just like creating products that are going to be not just like for the gym, but also just for our
I think a lot of us have realized after the pandemic and stuff like that like how just important. I mean, it doesn't matter. Okay, cool, bro. You got a lot of energy. You got some big muscles. That's great, bro. But you got COVID. Now all of a sudden it doesn't matter what you look like. You're fighting for your life.
Health is wealth, baby.
And so once we realize that how important health is wealth. Plus we are getting a little bit older.
We are,
these certain things, anti-aging and cell vitalization and stuff like that. These things become more important for us.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, not just older people, but younger people are starting to realize as well. Like,
yes,
we got to be healthy if we want to continue doing the things that we love, being in the gym or whatever.
Yes, I think like now that we're older, I think people are really seeing that now. I think everybody's evolving to that. Like, I got to stay a little bit healthier and so take my vitamins. Even the girls with their skincare and stuff like that. Right. So you're starting to see that more. I think that's pretty awesome. I'm really excited for that because it's like that's where we met, where he's back, where now he's doing something and partnering with somebody that can create his vision, be back into to bring it back to life, and at the same time now with God in his life. Because
exactly, and also to mindset. So there's something through listening to you with your program and things that you're working on with the Strong Fit challenges. I think that you're working on stuff like that. Like there's I think it was you and Alan, and then also my brother. It was something that I was at the final stage where I was recreating everything, and we got this amazing partnership, and got the approval with her. Like, okay, cool, we're gonna make this happen. And there was still like these old things that were starting to get in my mind again. Like, is this the right brand? Is it right? And I felt like it was something that you helped me out through a lot. With your coaching and everything. And you kind of like gave me some advice, and I was like, you're right. And then it was like this last wall that I just kind of broke through
it,
and it was like Halkon's back and this and that, and the website's back up, and it was just like it unleashed this flood.
And you're a different person now. You're a different person,
and I feel like now I'm revitalized and re-energized, and I'm ready to take over again. But this time with God, obviously. With
God, and it's crazy. I love seeing your new growth. I love seeing your changes, and just like it gets me excited because I'm like, Jesus, thank you, Jesus, because we've prayed about this moment for a long time. Because as a partner, you want to make sure that your partner is good. You know, like for me, I know what you've always been able to accomplish. I've always told you this from the beginning. I'm like, babe, like you've got what it takes. I don't think you see what I see.
Right.
And I would always tell him that. I'm like, I don't think you see exactly what I see in you. Don't ever doubt yourself. And sometimes he would show me people that were amazing and stuff, or they're business owners. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like for me, it wasn't exciting because I'm like, all right, bro, like, you know, you're one of them too. You understand that you're this person too. But I think at that moment, because you were losing everything, you couldn't see it because
you can't like
didn't feel
I mean, if you're a champion fighter and you get defeated, and then God forbid it happens again, you lose your second fight after you've been a champion, you start to doubt yourself. You start to think it's over. You're like, I'm never going to be the best that I was, or I'm never going to be, I can't be a champion ever again. And that's 1000% not true. And there's something that, but there's something that you got to fight through and you got to get through. And sometimes, you know, like for me, I'm very blessed that I have people, you know, I have you, I have Adrian, I have, you know, even Danny Dodgers, like you know, you guys saw something in me when I couldn't see it myself. And that's very important. And I feel like that's why a lot of people, you should always communicate. If you feel some type of way, you know, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call somebody and say, you know what, I just feel like I suck, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, and because sometimes you do need someone else to be like, no, you don't, bro. You know, and that little thing can mean so much. Just that's what you've done for me. Like, you know, when I couldn't see it, you saw it and you helped drag me out of that. And so I'm here. I'm out. We're ready to fight, you know?
Yeah, because I see it. I've always seen it. And that's the thing. That's why I always tell the girls too. Like when I speak to you guys on here, it's just, I'm not just saying it just to be motivational. Like I really do mean it, because we all have a beautiful purpose. We all have a gift that God has given us and stuff. So with Mondo, I've always saw that in him. I've always seen it because come on, I'm like, bro, you have a track record. Hello. Like you have you have receipts already, babe. Like you've done it in the past. You've already done this before. Like I want you to believe that you can do it again. What do they say? Once a millionaire, always a millionaire. Yeah. But now you're more than that, because now you have God in your life. I think that's, for me, that's sexy. I'm sorry,
you know, I don't know why this it's like kind of like, have you seen the movie Waterboy? For some of you guys in Waterboy, remember that coach? He was like a badass coach back in the day, and then he had that one traumatizing thing that happened to him. And all of a sudden, every time he would start to make an amazing play, he would start to be like, oh, I'm getting dizzy or something like that. And it wasn't until he learned how to overcome that fear by every time he got to that hard point, he would see a baby or a dog or something like that. Yeah. And all of a sudden, it wasn't so difficult, and he started making amazing plays again. That's sort of what it's like. It's like you get to that point where you're like, okay, we're about to do this again. But all of a sudden, you're like, you know, I don't want to lose money again, or I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, I want to do that. And those are the things that you have to fight and break through. Otherwise, you're not going to go anywhere.
What keeps you going? What keeps you going? Even though you've lost everything? Like, what is one thing that just, like, you're just like, I can't give up. I got to make sure I make this happen.
I think for me, my family, obviously. My family. We were just talking about that today, actually. You know, for like a lot of my life, I lived selfishly, and I didn't really do it to be selfish. I did it because I thought that was the way that I was going to take care of my family. If I go out there and I give 100%, even though I sacrifice my family will have a good life. But I feel like what keeps me going now is now I want to truly take care of my family. Now I want to achieve these things so that way I really can give my family a better life, but be with my family, but enjoy these and make sure they're taken care of. Not just like, oh, one day then I'll cash out and take care of. Because I used to think that way. I used to think like, okay, I'm 43, mind you, but I used to have this vision in my head. Once I'm 40, I'm done. I'm going to sell my company. Then I'm going to spend time with my children and buy them whatever they want, whatever. And then that day never came, you know? So I think now being in the moment, it keeps me going, that I want to be able to provide, you know, financial freedom for my family, but also for myself so that I can. Like, I love taking my girls to school, and, you know, if I have
to... because you do that a lot. By the way, guys, he takes his daughters, picks them up from school, takes them to school, okay? So he's on the road. Like, he'll be working, and he goes on the road, oh, I got to be back. And sometimes and he takes Leia to school, too. So he'll take Leia to school, then then he goes to pick up Aubrey. And then picks up Alyssa, and then everybody goes to different schools, by the way. Right, all different schools. So he does that. He's a really good dad when it comes to that. He's always there, and it's pretty crazy.
But I enjoy it, but in order for me to keep enjoying that, I can't get a job. If I get a job, then that goes away. So that's what keeps me going. But I think on a different aspect of what keeps me going is there's like a fire inside of you, right? And that fire was lit, and I accomplished some amazing things. And then when I had all these like blocks and things in my mind, that fire was not lit anymore. It was kind of like almost going out. And then now that fire is back. So that fire, like being an entrepreneur and being people like us, there is a level of like conquer that we have as well.
Yeah.
Like there's like I want to push myself to see what God has in store. Like, what did God give me? Like, I want to maximize that. So when I go to heaven one day, God said, "Dang, dude, you used all that fuel, all that fuel. You came to heaven, and there's no more fuel in the tank." That's what I feel like keeps me going. And
also I think because the fact that as entrepreneurs, we like the challenge, we like the toughness, we like we like the challenge. We like, because we're the type that somebody says you can't do that, we're like, watch me,
right,
watch me, what I can do. Watch what God gave me to do this. It just never stops. I think that's being an entrepreneur is just like taking that risk, knowing that you might get screwed over in the front, but you're not gonna let anything get in the way. You're just gonna keep going. I think that's what's exciting about it.
And to that point, having been here and then been here and then been here, and just reflecting on that past part of my life, that is the thing I miss. I miss the challenge. I miss the they say enjoy the process. The process, the teams and the events and the expos and
the people,
taking care of watching my people succeed, and watching Alan, him sending me a picture of his brand new Audi that he bought, because that's something we created. That right there is fuel. That's for fuel. Not once you've already retired and you've got this mountain of gold that you're sitting on.
It's doing things for people.
Now you're bored.
Yeah.
You're bored. So now that we're in that process of like, now I'm my vision's clear and I know where I'm going, and now we're starting that process again.
He's excited about that.
That's what keeps me going.
What's crazy, guys, is that when I met Mondo, and he already had recon and everything like that, it's pretty crazy because when he got his car, he made sure his partner got his dream car as well. You tell a story about how you gifted.
He
did a lot of.
He earned it.
Earned it.
I mean, we both earned it because, I remember I'll tell you part of the manifestation thing. 2014, we got an office, and me and Alan we shared the same office, and we're sitting in the same office together. I had one corner, he had one corner, and every day at 3:00, it was like manifestation hour, right? Where we started looking at YouTube, we started looking at Audis and Maseratis, and we would listen to the exhaust. Like, oh man, did you hear that exhaust? I don't know. Do you like this one or like this one? Like, look at this one. Well, watch this one, right? See how it sounds. And then, we started watching that, and even when we would drive home, we would visualize like making sounds of, like how we wanted our cars to sound. And so I always said I wanted the Maserati because once I heard that exhaust, I was like, that's it. I want this to go what I want. And he always wanted the Audi RS5, and that was the car that he always wanted, black with the white seats and everything. I said, okay. So once I got mine, and then I was like, Alan has always been that ride or die guy where,
Alan is cool.
He would make sure, and this is where I'll give him credit, because he never told me, as a partner, he never told me, hey bro, why do you get to spend money and I don't? Or he never said, hey, why do you get your car first and not me?
Yeah.
He was always like that supportive guy, always had my back, and so he was happy for me when I got my car. So then finally, I said, hey, let's kill it at the end of, I think it was 2015, I said. I said, you know what, bro? We're going to kill it, and then if we do really good X amount, then I'll make sure that you got a nice chunk of money to buy your car. And we did. We killed it. We killed it. End of 2015, our sales were amazing. And then I forgot what month it was, and I wired him the money so he can put down payment for his car.
That's
basically bought almost all of it with that. But I think he put $20,000-$30,000 down or something like that. Yeah, on his RS5.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Because you did something for somebody who's always been there.
It felt good to watch. Yeah, it felt good to watch him win, and vice versa. He was always happy to see me win as well.
That's the best. I think that's one thing that we're so excited for, because going on to this new year and doing things different now, us both working together and accomplishing our goals and dreams. But our goal now is not to live this we want to live this lavish lifestyle, but in a different way, where it's like along the way we're helping people, we're gifting back, and we don't have to post everything that we do. Like right now, we actually take care of a child in Nicaragua, where we pay monthly.
And his last name is Lopez too?
Yeah, his last name is Lopez. But you see, like for us, that's our hunger, is to be successful in that way, so we can help others. Because remember, God blesses us in every type of way, and we should pay that back, by helping others too, so they can see the light, so they can see that there is hope, so they can see that God is taking care of them, and for us, not a lot of people can become entrepreneurs, not a lot of people become successful, but at least we can show them the way that, hey, you know what, I took these people that didn't have nothing, just like you and me, and
I think we realize that, like, now we realize that we are receiving God's blessings, and we also want to make sure we
want to make sure we just do something nice to it. Like for us, like we want to be able to employ people, help families. We want to give somebody jobs, that way if they're having a hard time. Like we want to make sure we build our team again where, we build a family where it's just, they're not just employees, but we want to make sure that people are taken care of. Yeah. And I think that's for us, that's huge.
It is huge, it's huge. It's important because it keeps you in mind, like it keeps you thinking like there's something more than me. Like you don't want to be like, oh, when you're just spending money on yourself, it's like this is my world. But realistically, like there's something bigger than just you. There's other people, and the more that you practice that, the bigger that gets.
Yes, and that's always been my thing too. Even when I didn't have anything, I still made sure that I raised money.
You still did things for other people.
Yeah, it was just that's what fuels me. I think like just because the fact that God blesses us in so many ways that we should be giving back.
Right.
And we've done so many things, but we don't post it, guys. We don't post it. We don't like talking about it because it's just for us to know about it.
Yeah, I just feel like. I mean, a lot of people share, what they post, and that's cool. Everybody does things their own way. I might not agree with it, but I just feel like for me, like it doesn't need to be shared. If certain things, if I share something like, hey guys, I'm gonna raise money for this kid or for this family or whatever, and I come to social media to do that, then that's one way. But if I'm like, hey guys, watch me as I do this, guys, here you go, sir, then what are you truly doing that for? Is it for you or is it for him?
I did that once. I did, but I was doing it for the person, but I wanted to show people. I didn't do it maliciously, but then I thought about it, I was like, wait, why did I do that?
Yeah.
But back to this, like, we want to keep doing that. That's why for us, we're so hungry to be successful, and so we can help out more people, more families, because we know what it's like to struggle. We know what it's like to barely have $100 for groceries. Right. We know what it's like to not have cars, so we know what it's like. So it's just like I think that's what fuels us, is to be successful, not just because we want to live this successful life or luxury. It's more like because we really truly want to help people out and really show people that God is always going to be there, that God is always there to protect us, that God is always there guiding us, and we are not alone. So I think that's one thing, that's where we're so excited. So now the fact that I said you lost it all, but you're back to being a millionaire, that's what I mean. It's he lost materialistic stuff, but he gained so much that now he's a powerful millionaire in the sense that he has number one, God in his life. Now he knows his purpose in life with everything. But now you've grown so much that, now you're going to pursue that with everything that you do now.
Like the money is easy. To make money is easy. To start, I mean, I can start a brand in 3 days. It's this part's easy. But when you're finally living with God, your vision, your purpose, why you're doing things, and you're like, you have no more of these blockages. Like where I'm at right now is I know being a millionaire it's nothing. Like it's easy. Yeah. It's easy. I am one already. It's because I already know how to go there now.
You said I am one already. Yes.
I know how to get to that path, right? And that's where we're going. These partnerships that I've negotiated in the last couple of weeks, like they can literally be $1 million deals like within the next couple months. You know what I mean?
And your life can change just like that. Like you said, your life can change just like that.
But that's the easy part. So I think what makes me a millionaire though is that I really truly will be a millionaire because I will have it all. We'll have my family, my kids, God, everything, And I think that's what makes me wealthy, because if I lose like I said, money comes and goes. When you lose the money, like I still have this, I still have my family. I still have Carlin. That's what makes me a millionaire. These are the things I can't replace.
That's true. Can't replace me, baby. And if you try to, it's going to be a copy of me, but it ain't going to be the real deal.
Oh my God.
And we're like that, guys. But anyways, Mondo, thank you so much for coming to the Strong Fit,
Yeah, no problem.
Strong with Carlin podcast.
My pleasure. Yeah, there's a little bit of traffic getting here, but yeah.
But before I go, guys, people want to know, okay, because we see the hawk and stuff, and I forgot to mention this, but the hawk, what does it symbolize to you?
So the hawk to me is it's a symbolization of that struggle. It was during that time before I met God, during that God, when I met Jesus and all that, the hawk was always there. And I actually feel, God talks to us all in different ways. It can be a family member, it can be work, church. But for me, God always talks to me when I'm hiking, and it's always with the hawk. When I'm struggling or I'm going through something in my mind and I see this image of this hawk in the sky, and it just gives me fuel. It gives me fuel, and I feel powered up, feel energized, because I feel like it's a reminder of God saying, hey, I'm still here,
Yeah.
And so I love it. And I'm not, and for me, I know that's the way he talks to me. I mean, you saw, I don't know if you guys remember, any of you guys saw the pictures of my Instagram when I posted, freaking hawk landed on the rail, and is looking like, what's up?
Like, hey.
Like, what's going on, And I saw, I've had these crazy moments so to me, it symbolizes
that God's with you.
That God's with me, and it symbolizes that, it's an inspirational thing. So what I hope to accomplish with Halkon, when everybody sees Halkon and whatever it's doing right now, supplements, I want you to see Halkon. I want you to hear the and I want you to feel energized, powered. Yes, Halkon. That's what the hawk means to me. And through Halkon, I'm just sharing that.
Well, that's the best.
Yeah.
Armando, thank you once again for coming to Strong with Carlin podcast.
Yeah.
And
it was a pleasure.
What advice would you give someone, just really quick, what advice would you give somebody that wants to start their business but is very, very afraid to even start?
I would say, okay, I'll use myself as an example from where I was, is if you don't start, you're never going to get started. You're never going to go anywhere, because you're not going to have the right answer. You're not going to have the right name. You're not going to have the right colors. You're not going to might not even have the right product. But you won't know that until you actually get started, because once you get started, that's when you can start to tweak and make things happen. But you're going to get going. But if you don't even start at all, you're not even in the game.
Yeah.
You're not even playing, so don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
So just start. That's the biggest advice I can give to anyone. And if you and I'm gonna tell you something from somebody who didn't have anything when I restarted. I've heard a lot of excuses like, I don't have the money, right? Just start. The money will come.
It will.
The money will come. The advice or somebody will donate you terms.
God will make it happen for you.
Somehow it's gonna work its way out.
Yes.
Yeah. Just start.
Just start. That's awesome. Yeah. I honestly just start, guys, because it is what it is. Like when we talk about it, it's like if I want to do something, I just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
I don't even think about it. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching and for listening to our podcast. I hope you guys got your questions answered. And if you guys want a little bit more of Armando, if you guys want more podcasts with me and him,
hopefully I wasn't too awkward.
just let us know. Just let us know. I know we were trying to share your story and stuff like that. And
thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be on this platform and share my story. I'm honored.
I feel honored too, because you're sexy. You're very handsome all the time. So I'm just looking at you the whole time.
I was about to turn into a different podcast.
All right, guys. Well, don't forget that you guys are amazing, but most important that you guys are strong every day. Bye, guys.